You're running full speed, but the markets are faster. Quasar Markets Live brings the world's top financial minds to you. Everything you need to know in one place. Learn from elite educators and gain a competitive edge, leveling the playing field for you. Join the conversation. Quasar Markets Live.
Good morning, Quasar Markets Live. How is everyone starting your day? Stanley, yep, we should, well, markets are okay today. Not a bad start. We are slightly in the red across all three indices right now, but we've been staying fairly flat throughout the morning. Yesterday we did see tech lift the overall market, helping the S&P notch its second day of row of gains, and the Dow Jones also reached a new intraday and closing record. So we had some strength yesterday, and it was led a lot by the tech sector. We saw companies like Oracle, Microsoft, Broadband, NVIDIA, Meta, all up 2 to 10%. So tech is back in the driver's seat and moving us, at least yesterday. Will not be surprised if we see a little pullback from those levels today. But so far, everything looking like risk on should have a chance to be part of our day. We've got the VIX, the volatility index. It's, around 17.64. So not really a big influence one way or the other there. What we do see is rates have cooled off tremendously here, the 10-year, and we just see new numbers coming in. Retail numbers are coming in, and on that release, it just moved rates down close to a 0.5 percentage point here, down to 4.15. So as we get our import prices, as we get retail prices, seems to be moving the rates down, which would be good for risk on. So that is solid to see. The DXY has cooled off again from the highs around 98 we saw last week, back down in the 96 handle. So that is in a spot that should, allow for risk on assets to breathe. When we look at gold, which we know the metals have really been sopping up a lot of the liquidity lately, gold is back above 50.55, so 5,055. Nice move back up here. Yesterday's highs were about 50.75. So if we break through that level today, we might see a retest here of, 52.50 or more. Silver also similar type setup. It's had a good 2-day run here, stalled out right around 85 yesterday, and it has retraced slightly. And oil is moving up a little bit. So sector-wise, we might want to keep an eye a little bit on the gas and oil companies as blowing through that 60 handle and now being up closer to 64 gives them a lot more room for profitability, and they might get a sector, rotation today. Bitcoin not as well, sitting under the 69 handle, just trying to regain 69. Got as low as 68.331 overnight. and Ethereum challenging that key $2,000 support level. So a lot of the euphoria we saw last week sort of wearing off here after that nice 10% rebound from the lows of the capitulation. We start to see the facts that we're still in a bear market in the crypto side sort of raise its head there. Overseas, the Nikkei set another record. Japan continues to be strong here, up overnight. We also see Hong Kong markets up almost a half a percentage point. And we do see the European stock market just went red. It had been up slightly throughout most of the morning. So that's what we're seeing there. And then from the different sectors of the S&P, what is showing the strongest sectors, what's showing the weakest sectors. So far, like I said, energy looking pretty good today, up about a half a percentage point. Same thing with utilities, up about a half a percentage point. When we look at the laggards, right now it's a combination of financials down about 65 basis points and consumer staples down about 50 basis points. Tech is holding pretty flat, so that has the NASDAQ given that ability to sort of breathe a little bit and stand up on its own. So that's what we're seeing from the bigger macro picture so far. From sort of a headline news stand, as I mentioned, yesterday was definitely a buy the dip when it came to tech stocks. We saw Oracle, Microsoft, Broadband, NVIDIA, Meta, and many others really make a nice move up, erasing some of the losses that they had seen. But keep in mind, last week we saw somewhere in the vicinity of $1 trillion get wiped out from the market caps. So as those are moving up, that is still, again, after some pretty big losses over the week in IVP, right? IVG. Never mind. What else are we watching this morning? We've got some earnings that's come out, so we got to keep an eye on that. Starting off with Coca-Cola. Down about 4% here. They did have some good news, some bad news. They had slower than expected fourth quarter revenue growth, and their adjusted earnings did beat the estimates at 58 cents, but still doesn't have it moving in the right direction. The biggest takeaway I saw on the positive side is they did say their Coca-Cola Zero segment in the fourth quarter jumped 13%. So that is pretty good. Organic sales did rise 4.8%, slower than the 5% they had expected. And as I said, shares are down, but they got to keep in mind shares have been up about 12% as of Monday's close. So this is just a slight setbacks. They expect to deliver organic revenue growth of 4 to 5% in 2026. So again, right around that midpoint that people are expected. And they didn't really have much else that I saw. Just checking my notes here. Not really much else that they really put in there. It was really about trying to keep operational costs tight, a little bit of restructuring. They said about 75 layoffs, I believe, at their headquarters. But they did mention that their marketing spend was going to be consistent. So a little bit of a mixed bag, and it has them, down about 3.5% so far. Credo Technology is one of the ones moving nicely to the upside here. Up about 14%. So nice move to the upside by Credo here. Let me pull up my notes on that. All my stuff got moved around here. There it is. Okay, sorry about that. Everything sort of went where it wasn't supposed to be. The way it sort of always works here when you're looking for something. It goes directly off of your screen and you never find it again. Other things that, like I said, Credo Technology up. Harley Davidson had a tough one here. Hog is down about 10% here after their earnings. The fourth quarter results were a disappointment. They missed expectations with an EPS loss here of about $2.44 a share on just around 496 million in sales. The company's 2026 guidance projects operating income from motorcycle operations between a $40 million loss and a $10 million gain. So really not looking very strong there. Investors don't like earnings misses. They don't like when guidance is bad. This had both of them at play, so definitely hurt them. We are about 20 minutes from 9 here. Thank you so much for joining us on Quasar Markets Live. If you guys could hit the like button, follow button, share this with other folks, it really helps us. We appreciate it. Others that are up today, D-Dog had a nice earnings beat, and they are also moving to the upside. Datadog. Up about 15% here this morning, so nice beat by them. That has them moving to the upside this morning, keeps things moving strong in that software category. So we like to see that. Looking at data I pulled from that one, they had adjusted earnings of about 59 cents a share. Revenue was $953 million, up 29% from a year ago, and well above the $919 million analysts expected. This is a company that sells monitoring analytics platforms to AI and cloud giants like AWS, OpenAI, and others. And this one has been under a lot of pressure. They've been down 16% to start the year. So this gets them back to flat or so. Their CEO said they delivered over 400 new features and capabilities to help customers as they migrate to the cloud. And they are getting ready to deploy production with their next gen AI. The guidance for the first quarter is mixed. It expects revenue of around 951 million, which is above estimates, but their EPS is just slight of what people thought there. So that does have them moving to the upside nicely here today. So we like to see that for sure. Sticking with a Dow Standard, you got DuPont. Up about 2.44% after a strong quarter. The Construction, Water, Industrial Materials Company reported fourth quarter adjusted earnings of about 46 cents a share on sales that reached 1.7 billion. Wall Street was looking for about those numbers, so it was right in line with what they were looking for. Sales in their businesses were flat year over year, in line with expectations. For 2026, they expect an EPS of about $2.28 on sales of 7.1 billion. So forward guidance ahead of estimates. So that tends to have the market moving up or has things moving up, and it is here. Taking a look in the financial sector, we had Citi. They are down about a 0.5 percentage point here. After they got an analyst downgrade. So you got a little bit of a downside here on Citigroup after that downgrade. Other movers this morning, keep your eye on the nuclear sector. We see Vistra Corp up around 4.1% here this morning. Power AI infrastructure play. So again, as we talk about this CapEx, as we talk about the money being spent, you need to put energy in place for it. Nuclear and SMR, small to medium-sized reactors, are thought to be one of the key answers for the future, and those are being built by VST. So we do see them with that nice move to the upside. Also, Shopify, Shopify had some good earnings and is moving to the upside there. Not a company that I spend a lot of time with there, but definitely showing some stronger than expected earnings. They came in better than expected on both earnings and revenue, and moving nicely to the upside on it. So you like to see that. Also, on the other side of it, on the downside, Upwork down about 22% here this morning. This was after a guidance miss, and their fiscal reports came out. They did grow 4% year over year, and their revenue grew 2% over year. So that was good, but they lost clients. That has them down to the downside, and their general guidance and earnings report has them down over 22% here this morning. Other names that are under pressure today, MSTR and the crypto names, as Bitcoin is under pressure, so are they. On the upside, we do have to mention Taiwan Semiconductor here. Strong earnings has them moving to the upside. Up at 363.51. So we do see a nice little beat by them there. And looking at their numbers here, they did say they plan to invest about $56 billion in capital expenditures this year, a 30% increase from 2025 to meet AI chip demand. The U.S. technology company may be exempt from semiconductor tariffs due to their pledged $165 billion in U.S. manufacturing. So we'll see if that continues. They did say that they expect elevated CapEx for the next 3 years as it races to meet demand for artificial intelligence chips. Company could get more good news. Big U.S. technology companies are set to be exempt from coming tariffs on semiconductors. That carve out is tied to TSMC's pledge of $165 billion, like I said. And TSMC is the main supplier of chips to NVIDIA, so it has them moving up on that news. They also supply core processors inside of Apple, iPhones, Qualcomm mobile chipsets, and processors made by AMD. And outside of Apple, all of those were in the pre-market gainers. So good moves there by each of those. Taking a look at the Mag 7 here as we get about a half hour from the open. NVIDIA up a half a percentage point after the huge move up yesterday, 2.5%. Key resistance will definitely be yesterday's high, right around that 192.17 here. So if you can see a break above that 192.72, look for a run towards 194 on NVIDIA. Microsoft showing a little bit of strength here again. Yesterday jumped up about 3%, up another half a percentage point here. Coming up on key resistance right around that 422 area. So that's the spot to target on Microsoft, excuse me. Google a little bit weaker, down about 42 basis points, moving towards the open. On the daily chart, it is right at the edge of the linear regression standard deviation. This is where we would expect it to see a bounce back towards the mean reversion trade here. So let's see if Google can get its way moving this morning. Apple, another laggard in the Mag 7, but this is one that's been on a tier of a run over the last several days. You can see back, before its earnings on January 20th, got as low as 243, made it back up towards that 280 level, and now trading it at 240.74. Nicely this morning, used the midline on the linear regression as some solid support. Do like that as maybe a buy the dip for a dip to red play here, dip to rip play. Could be a good one. Amazon is up about 60 basis points. This one still got a long way to go after earnings took it down almost 15% the other day, but a little bit of a climb back up. It's got to get above yesterday's high at 212.74 to think it can make a serious move back to the upside. Meta yesterday sort of reversed its downfall. It started that reversal, in my opinion, on Friday when we saw Jensen Huang mention that Meta probably was using AI better than any other company so far. So that was a big one. You got to love that. And that had that moving to the upside. Tesla's up about 50 basis points this morning. That's coming off of lows again here. That had a sort of double bottom formation right around the 387. Has been recovering since. Looks like it might want to make a run towards that 440 again here if it can get some strength today. We'd like to see it break back above that 420 for that move to start its way back up. Netflix was one of the only Mag 7 down yesterday. It has rebounded slightly, but this one has still been on its downtrend since the merger news sort of started, or the buyout with them wanting to buy Western Digital. Ever since that news, this is sort of the downward spot we've seen, breaking from a high of 137 all the way down to 80. So big pullback there. Those are the things I'm keeping an eye on so far going into the market. Market breadth has really come down here over the last few hours. We were sitting up before 8 o'clock, up, well over 1,000. And now, we've pulled about half of that back here. Tick pretty flat right now. It's been negative in general. But we do see, like I said, a little bit of a bounce back across the Qs right now. NASDAQ trying to break back to the upside and get positive, down about 3 basis points. S&P, same thing, off of the lows of the pre-market trading and trying to climb slightly. And the Dow Jones also. All three seem to be right near key levels of resistance currently. So we'll need to keep an eye on that for sure. There was a lot to say quickly there. Keeping an eye on some of the stocks that I track generally. We do see a nice move up by AMD, as I mentioned. We see after TSM's release that we've had a nice little run up by some of the chip companies today. So that sector could be pretty hot. Broadband also up 77 basis points here. Banks under a little bit of pressure today. Bank of America down 20 basis points. We looked at Citi earlier. That was down. So banks getting hit a little bit here. Energy names, we said, could be a sector to watch today. Constellation Energy up about 1.5%, up 4% yesterday. Increased gas costs, oil costs. Those are good for the folks that sell it. So that is what has them moving to the upside. Crypto adjacent names under pressure today. Coinbase down close to 2%, erasing all of yesterday's gains already. So some of the love we saw coming over the weekend and through yesterday might be wearing off on the crypto side. Going to be important for Bitcoin to get back above and sort of hold, some key levels here today. Bitcoin's got to get back above 69 and try to get back up to that 70, I think, for us to see any kind of turnaround with those names. Otherwise, the crypto names will continue to be under pressure today. Costco, a little bit of a 2-day pullback after making that explosive move. Also, you can see this one again went from 847 all the way up to 1,000 before retracing here. So nice run by Costco. Defensive names have been all the rage. I wouldn't be chasing them now. This is more of a, if you're in that trade, it's getting up towards that key resistance where it's had trouble in the past. So I would be a little wary there maybe. Seeing if anything else is popping off. Bitcoin miners, as I mentioned, down here today, down about 1%, erasing half of yesterday's gains is Mara, the largest of the Bitcoin mining companies. So under a little bit of pressure there. Micron still under pressure, down another almost 2% here. NIO is one that was in the news today. They did release their new SUV. That's got a little bit of chatter. So we'll see what comes out of that. They also did have a recall on some of their cars due to a software recall. So we'll see how that plays out. Oracle, again, still showing strength as the tech names, software names try to continue to bounce back up about another percent here today, up 9.5% yesterday. But again, Oracle has been under huge pressure, down 20% year to date and down 18% over the last 30 days. Palantir, another one that's been moving back to the upside, getting in the news and getting itself moving back. 142.91 yesterday, up at 145.57 right now. So gained 5% yesterday, another 2% today. So again, a lot of these tech names running, but this one's going to come up on key resistance here, right about that 148 area. So 148 is going to be the key spot to watch on Palantir today. Snapchat up around 2.7%, was up even higher, got as high as 552 in the pre-market. This was after its earnings beat. Snap's recent earnings talked about their AR glasses. That was a big part of what has them moving to the upside, was the announcement of them launching a meta-styled AR glasses. So that has them moving up. Another company, big company we talked about yesterday going into earnings, CVS. And they're down another 60 basis points. They did have an earnings beat, but again, market didn't adjust really well for them. Their CFO, said that 2024 was a tough year for the company, so 2025 has started to right the ship. One of the largest pharmacy chains in the U.S. sees its full-year profit coming in around $7 to $7.20 a share, right about in line with what analysts were expecting. The company also is maintaining its 2026 revenue guidance of at least $400 billion. Analysts were expecting about $10 billion more than that, so that could be why we're seeing a little bit of a pullback across them here so far. He did say in the guidance it includes $20 billion in headwinds, roughly half of which is driven by the company's move to exit the Affordable Care Act individual market this year. So they left that market. The other half reflects the company's retail business adjusting to lower drug prices after the most favored nation deals that President Trump struck with more than a dozen pharma companies in recent months. CVS last week said it's roughly 9,000 pharmacies are accepting discount cards from the president's new launched direct-to-consumer platform, Trump RX, for eligible patients. So that is good. But for CVS, that means that it could see reduced payments for some of their products. Obviously, that is not good for them. Well, it might be good there. They did say that the primary care provider they own, which is Oak Street Health, is improving profitability this year. Comes after CVS moved to close 16 underperforming Oak Street locations. For the retail pharmacy business, the company has several tailwinds, such as new technological investments and new locations, along with customers it acquired from its Rite Aid purchase last year after it filed for bankruptcy. So it had some good news, but down about 60 basis points here. As BigBeat talked about yesterday, it's still tough to invest in a lot of the healthcare sectors, especially if they're in the health insurance business. So that has them under pressure for sure. Well, folks, it is 9 o'clock, so let me get his intro going and we'll get him right in here.
When markets move, Stephen E. Orr takes the chair. From the White House to Wall Street, he's spent decades at the intersection of policy, markets, and real capital. And he's seen firsthand how institutions use data behind closed doors. Now, as founder of Quasar Markets, his mission is to pull those signals into the open so everyone can see what really moves the markets. This is Stephen E. Orr, Big Beat on Wall Street. Let's filter the future live.
Big Beat, how are we doing today, my friend?
Good morning, Howard. Yesterday was a good day, as quiet as we said, and another quiet day, I think, today. But I'm starting to position a little bit differently. As you know, I had moved a lot of money over the last few months into Asia and Japan, and Nikkei is on an all-time high. So I think I am going to start moving money away now from there and moving it into Europe. I think that's the key, right? I like to buy low and sell high, and I know people chase, and I don't chase. I do things a little bit before everybody else. I get it, but because that's where the money goes. And when Europe begins to pick up, and it will, we will be moving there too. So I already been doing that. I like, as you know, I bought in Japan 3 to 6 months ago, off and on, been buying, and now here we are at an all-time high. So forget it. Take my money and run. I've had about 61% push to the upside, and then that's kind of where I'm at now, where I'm thinking. So let's take
my
that.
only question there is the stocks is also at all-time highs.
Yeah, they are. But I'm not going to go into Europe as in Europe overall. So as you know, in Japan, Asia, I did not buy everything in Asia. I just bought Japan. But this one here is emerging markets. So I think that you're going to find places that haven't been participating in this rally will be the one where the things go to. Now, I will tell you that the other place that I'm interested in is Africa, and I think that's going to be a hot spot. I know it's been a hot spot. China's already moved into Africa. Pretty much China owns Africa at this point. But I do like the unexplored areas of where they'll find things, right? Whether that's oil or rare earths and things like that. We don't think of that as the countries that have it. We think of them as diamonds. We think of them as places that have cocoa, some ag, but a lot of Africa is desert. So you know, it's harsh weather. It's not easy. So right. So that's why, to me, I feel like I'm going to start making some different moves here. Probably not yet. I need to keep my eye tight here, but I'm thinking pretty soon here I'll start making some moves out of Asia.
Okay, well, makes sense. There, it's been on fire. You know, all the catalysts that you probably wanted to see already are in place. Prime ministers, you know, in place. Her coalition is even stronger, so it makes sense to me there, Big Beat, without a doubt. We had some earnings today. Did any of those catch your eye? A little bit of decent earnings by a couple of the software companies, Datadog and Credo.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola didn't do too good. I've been saying that Coca-Cola's going to make a mistake. They did. Harley Davidson. These are very wrong companies in the United States that are supposed to be backed by this president. And these aren't good numbers. These are really bad numbers, actually. That bothers me a lot. And that tells me exactly what I've been saying, that these pressures of tariffs, these pressures that he's put on these companies and this country is hurting us. I saw the new numbers this morning saying that the average American is now paying a little more than $1,200 per person in tariffs just this year. And we're only going to get back $2,000. I haven't seen my $2,000 check. So this is not good. So this is not a political thing. This is telling you exactly what's going on. And I don't like it. And Harley Davidson is definitely one of those that I am very nervous about. That's an all-American company. They're making an all-American product, and they're in trouble, big time.
Yeah, they're at a loss right now.
A loss. Yeah,
you know, and I think there's a lot of components there. Like you said, if people don't have money, they're not buying Harley Davidson, is the most expensive motorcycle, basically, you know, out there. getting back to what you said about Coke, I mean, their earnings weren't too bad. Their revenues growth was 4 to 5%. And what they're doing is they're pivoting like Pepsi did into the stuff that people are drinking, Coke Zero and that segment. And I've noticed because me and the wife like that product line, and now they have a lot more zeros, right? In other words, they're doing the other products that maybe are further down the line because you know what? I want a Dr. Pepper, or I want a Baja Mountain Dew, although that's not Coke, that's Pepsi, but you know what I'm saying? Is that product, I think they've done well there. And I will say that they've also seen their water, sports, coffee, and tea divisions do well.
There it is.
I don't think the Coke, and again, they're coming off of all-time highs. I just wanted to frame that one a little bit too. They're coming off of $79. It's been a heck of a run for them over the last several months. I mean, they're still, even after this drop, up 23% over the last year. So, Coke's had a pretty good run. I'd actually give them some credit that I wouldn't maybe give to Pepsi. Pepsi has a different line too, because Pepsi is really in the Frito-Lay business and that whole thing, where Coke really is a beverage business. So,
for me, when the Super Bowl was Sunday, and we decided we were going to go, splurge a little bit. We're going to have some chicken wings. I don't eat much anymore, and I'm going to have some nachos and watch the game. And it was a terrible game. The line at the Publix, inside of the aisle of the chip sector, chips, and I say chip sector, I'm talking about Ted chips, was jam-packed. I mean, you couldn't even get around.
I mean, and Pepsi's going to lower those because they know people are pissed about it. So, you know what I mean? I think some companies are making, what I do think is hopefully we're also seeing some of the gouging and some people taking advantage of tariffs. Now that's hurting their forward guidance. Maybe I can't add a few pennies here. I can't add a few pennies there. So, maybe that weight plays its way back down to the downside and helps us also when it comes to that inflation factor.
Inflation is in check, so I'm okay with that side of it. I'm concerned about every time we turn around, there's a new tariff, a new country getting hit with something, and it's a political spot here, and I don't like that when it messes with the markets. When you look at Coca-Cola and the weight loss drugs, I've talked about this, that this is going to hurt these companies, the companies with sugar, right? And it's what it is, sugar water. So when you look at Coca-Cola in general, you have to say, okay, what is it that they do differently? They make Dasani, Coke Zero, but I've gone from drinking a Coke a day, which I used to, and I haven't done that a long time now, to the mini Cokes. I get mini Cokes, which I think is the number one selling product now, a Coca-Cola. And the number one place where they buy Coca-Cola is in the bars for Jack and Cokes and Captain Cokes. And
well, see, that's where I think things might be helping them, as you've talked about. People are drinking less booze. They're drinking more non-alcoholic. So what I've seen is sitting in a sports bar watching the game, there's just as many people having a soda next to me as having a beer. So I think things weigh each other out on that.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It could be balancing each other out. But I'm saying that the speed of the drinking of the Coca-Cola has definitely come down. But when they go out to public restaurants, I'm saying that they are not drinking Jack and Cokes. They're drinking Coca-Cola. And maybe they're drinking Coke Zero, right? So I think that there's this balance. It's act that's happening right now, but I'm still not a fan of it, and I can see why Berkshire Hathaway dumped their position in it. They've had a rough time with it, so I don't like the Coca-Cola right now. It's unfortunate because I'm a big Coke fan, but I don't like it right now.
Steve, we got retail's numbers in, and retail's fizzled at the end of the holiday shopping season. So I brought that up, as you remember, right? I said, man, they're just killing it early. Does this come and rear its ugly head? As I mentioned, the wife had already bought everything in September and October, and it does look like that was the case. Retail sales were flat in December. Flat's not good, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna show you if I can. I can't do it right now, but if you have a Gmail or any kind of I don't care what kind in your own Hotmail or whatever you're using. I'm not just for your Howard. I'm talking about the out public. Go to your promotions tab.
Oh, it's full. I was looking, your cruise guys are even trying to get me, a guy who's never been on a cruise.
Right.
They're all over it.
Type in the number 60, look at the and hit the enter button. Type in the number 70, type in the number 80. And again,
I think it was 80% was the cruise one.
80% off. That is, to me, I have a rule when you see 70 and 80% off, that's recession level, and I haven't seen it in a long time. We're already seeing that already. So your numbers are not adding up to me, and your first companies to tell you what's going to happen are usually your first companies to tell you what's going to happen, and that's going to be and I'm going to tell you another place to look is Amazon. How are those numbers coming down? So if there are specific products that you buy, stick them in your wish list or in your to buy, and then
they'll be coming back. Yeah, you'll be surprised how AI targets you for that. I noticed that I forget what I looked at something that I really didn't care about, but I looked at it, and then I keep getting inundated with Best Buy saying, you looked at this, do you want it? No, I was just looking it up to see something. I think it was for the show. I was looking up a price of something, and there I am stuck with it. What I did do for key takeaways there, Steve, was home centers such as Home Depot and Lowe's were the only retailers to post outside sales. And I think a lot of that was the weather, right? Shovel sales, repairing your roof, repairing your siding. So I thought that was, one of the takeaways. Sales fell at auto dealers, clothing stores, and big box electronic retailers. And then what I've been talking about, you've been talking about the most critical bellwether that was down, restaurants, right? And down in December, you don't want to hear that. I've been hearing my folks in DC that own restaurants been saying this is the toughest year. This is worse than COVID, is the comments that some people have been giving me that are, these are long time restaurant people. I saw Bobby Flay on CNBC yesterday. He doesn't have a restaurant in New York City because the labor costs and everything and the rent costs. First time in his adult life, as he put it, that he doesn't have one or multiple restaurants in New York City. That to me was insane. He's in the casinos where it's all, where it's subsidized by those casinos themselves, and you have a captive audience there. But that was a takeaway for me. Spending was still skewed. Rich households, the big, we saw the luxury brands are doing well still, right? So that continues to be the stretch there. And the value brands are doing well, and nothing in the middle is. So
economy.
Yeah, exactly what I was saying. Exactly what you called for.
I mean, that's why we put the show on, right? We're not here to just talk. I'm here to help people, right? I'm not here to show charts all day long. I can do that anywhere. I've been showing charts for 35 years. I think it's the lowest level of analysis for stocks, right? Showing a chart's awesome. I love charts, but it's not giving you the bigger picture money, right? If you want to know how money is moving, the charts will show you where they are buying, but it's not showing you what the trend is before the trend happens, right? It's telling you where price was, what people are thinking after they're starting to digest the knowledge. And so we got to get the knowledge into people's hands so that they understand it. That's what Quasar Markets does, right? Yep. And so when I talk about Japan 3 months, 6 months ago, if you'd kept it, you're up 62.3% on one mutual fund, right? When I look at the orange juice trade, we knew it was coming because we knew it was going to be cold in Florida. Guess what? It killed all the orange. The trees are gone, right? Hurricanes killed it. The orange crops.
You see, Minute Maid is going to get rid of. They're not going to do frozen concentrate anymore. I mean, I don't know anyone that uses it anymore, but I remember my grandmother and even my mother growing up, you had that frozen orange juice. It was always in there. You added your water and you go. So I thought that was interesting. There goes another thing that the younger generation won't have the ability to know about. So, Steve, I'm seeing some breaking news here. Paramount has sweetened the deal again with Warner Brothers. That's probably bad for Netflix. In my pre-market part, I was mentioning how Netflix, man, it's just taken a beating. It's crypto-like 134 down to 79 here. They're bouncing back about 87 basis points on this news. But again, I mean, Paramount just won't go away, will it?
I mean, they don't have the money. I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, they don't have the backing for this. They don't. I mean, you've heard this now 2 or 3 times, right? That Warner Brothers is saying, look, I appreciate the offer, but we're not liking it, and you don't have the actual backing to do this. So they've told the Paramount. Now I get it that this is the president's family again, Paramount. So I understand, but no, I don't. It's not going to happen. And Netflix already has the deal. It's almost done. And the president has now said he's going to stay out of the deal. That's a smart move, by the way.
Yeah, he did. He did. So I did like that line from him. I was curious. I just flipped over to Oracle. It's not pulling back. It's pulling back a little bit on this news, but I'm more saying, what's funny is, like you said, channel checks. How does Paramount's bid affect Oracle? Larry Ellison, right? He's the money behind it. If he's going to sell his stock to do this or something like that, that is a takeaway that I wanted to keep an eye on there. Steve, does Netflix start to get interested at any point for you here? You've mentioned in the past you used to have the $100 line. I know you took that away after, this kept on going. Now we're at 80.
Yeah, no, I took it away because of the deal, right? And it was getting crazy over there. I will say this, that the movies at Netflix are pretty good, and people, you remember when you used to go to Netflix and you would spend a weekend and you burnt through all the movies? You just can't do that anymore. So that to me is a lot different. Yeah, they're coming quick.
I think that something that we might see as people are cutting things is cutting your subscriptions, your cable bill, your $140, $200 bill, and buying the Netflix 39. It's a lot more of an actual option now. Like you said, they do have some full service. You can get some sports there. You can get movies. You can get TV shows. You sort of got all the components in one place.
Oracle is popping here on this.
Yeah, that's what I said. I went right to it because I was wondering. I am in Oracle long term. I bought on this dip, and I'm like, is that just going to hurt me? But it looks like it's going to help me, so I'll be happy with that.
I mean, look, there's nothing. Nobody wants. Every rich person wants one thing: to be louder and louder and louder, right? So, I mean, this gives Jeff Bezos.
I've seen talk over the weekend. They want to be the next Murdochs, right? Is what they're trying to do, especially as Rupert's kids are going to break up that dynasty. I think the Ellisons see they could become the next royal family of media, right?
Good luck.
Yeah, I don't know what buys you, what it gets you from there. So, Steve, we are about a little more than 10 minutes from the open here. We do see that we're starting to go positive here. NASDAQ rather up about 10 basis points here. It's been moving up since the retail news came out. Same thing on the S&P, up about 4 basis points. Dow completely flat on the day. As I take off here, what are you thinking we see today?
My eye is on Palantir right now. It's still pushing up a little bit here. That turn has turned, and the daily chart isn't looking nice. So, for me, I do like that side of things. I'll be honest with you, I'm getting nervous about this market again, and not for any other reason, but for the reason of Iran. The biggest buildup in military history in the Mideast is now happening outside of Desert Shield and Desert Storm, of which kids they don't know about that one. So
definitely worried about it. The rhetoric there.
Google's about to raise a big bond sale here. Is that hitting Google right now?
Google did that announcement. This thing's oversold, and they're doing it at enormously cheap prices, so that shouldn't hurt them. Google's is here. I have that right. I did have
Google down 0.5% here, huh?
Yeah, they're raising $20 billion from an issuance of corporate bonds in the dollar. They were expecting to be $15 million, but the issuance was raised as orders exceeded $100 billion, one of the largest, highest levels of demand in corporate bond market history. And it also means that they reduced their spread against government bonds to under 1 percentage point, down to 0.95 from 1.2 on the offering. So they were able, this is one where people want it. So I took that as a strong Would that be? Would you take that? I didn't ask you that one as we were coming, but I took that as a pretty strong backing of them. The oversubscription and the ability to sell it at cheaper than they expected to.
Yeah. I mean, to
Or
me,
does that just mean the rest of everything else is so bad that people are saying, I'll take Google over a U.S. government bond or over something else?
Yeah, very much could be. I mean, and we know that, but we know China is telling, Xi Jinping is telling all their banks in China, including their agriculture bank, which is the big bank, to dump U.S. bonds. So that becomes a big issue to me.
Yeah, and I will say Google also announced that they're looking at doing a 100-year ultra-long corporate bond. 100-year corporate bond. Could you imagine that? IBM issued them 100-year bonds in 1996. Motorola did it in 97. I don't think people who bought those are too happy. I would not be buying a 100-year bond myself, even for the best and biggest right now. That's a long duration, right?
Not with these rates. Hell no.
Okay, Big Beat. I will see you in the morning. Good luck, my friend. Get in.
All right, everybody. Looking at this, I'm looking at Google here. I think we talked about this with Howard a second ago. I am interested in this. If I look at a daily chart here, it's about the turn actually. So if Google is making these right decisions here, I think people are starting to like it here. But the buying opportunity here is here, but the movement isn't much here, and you're having to look at it. So if you think about buying here 324ish, your risk reward to 340, you'd have to buy a lot. Or if you're looking at options here for Google are very pricey to me. So I just can't touch it. If you wanted to go a little cheaper, maybe you want to trade the Qs here. They have turned, the numbers have turned, the daily's turned, everything here is turned. I don't know. You'll see where I put my crosses earlier in the year, where I thought we would go. So far have held up, and you can see linear regression, almost right in the middle of this thing. This tells me that machines are trading and not people. So if you're trading the Qs, anyway, SQQ, however you want to trade it, up or down, your stops are, your limits are, where things are, and people, this is not so bullish to me. I mean, this is not saying, hey, look what we got here. So I'm backing off a little bit here. I don't like this here, to be honest with you. I will tell you, Microsoft has turned the corner a little bit in their system here, but I just try to get a reward on my Xbox, and I had to go through 25 websites to get a $10 reward. Like, it was ridiculous. I was like, this isn't even worth my time, and that's what they want. So I think Microsoft is struggling, especially in their gaming division. They need to turn things around very quickly. People just aren't using Bing. And they're not, Teams is still sucky, right? And so I'm not a big fan of any of this about Microsoft. And this is the Mag 7 here. I will tell you, I have turned my tune, as everybody knows, on Apple, and Apple has been right. So as everybody here knows, I turned the corner here at 169. Here we are at 274. And I don't own it now, but I do like all the new products coming out. They have really turned the corner. And I think if Apple Intelligence, which now I think is starting to get to there, I think we're starting to really feel like Apple is turned the corner. They need to make use of Blizzard IP. Oh, that's old, I guess. Yeah, no, I think that when we look at this, I think they're going to go higher. I think 291, 300 on Apple. So you can see here the 52-week range of 288 to 62. So the risk reward is the risk seems pretty low to me. The reward seems pretty low to me. It's Apple, right? But if you're playing right in the midst, you got those options. I think you might do okay here. I think you put a spread on. Strangle. Oracle still doing its thing here. Oracle bouncing a little bit here at 2%. Man, I don't know. He's going to have to prove something more than what he's doing now. It's just not telling me. Yeah. Eli Lilly is back up again today, up a little bit. Yeah, about $4 again. The weight loss drugs are definitely kicked in. Costco was one of my big plays this year, as everybody knows. There's the two. That's what I said. 861. Now here we are at 1,000. So I liked Costco. I still do like Costco. And the C's, as I said earlier, I liked CRISPR as well. CRISPR is one that I'm starting to again like. Yesterday it popped again there. And yesterday we talked about this one, Unity Software. That got smacked over the software. Great. And I like this. I like this pop here. This is really good. It gave you a good buying opportunity. And yesterday it jumped 10%. And we're not even into the turn here. So this could be a really good move here, Unity Software. They really need to show me something, though, with their actual software that they're building. Let's see if I can pull up here. See if I can do this for everybody. And the Unity software platform here is really huge, right? It's big in 3D. They've quite a few games here. If I can pull it up here, Batman, obviously, but games that actually people are playing, right? And they're getting ready to work on some other new things here. But you can see here, it's not just Xbox or PlayStation; it's everything, including HoloLens and Vision OS. So they're actually making games for the future and not the past, right? So there's your games, there's their engine. These are just the new games. These aren't even the old games, right? So there we go. And you can make your own games.
Everyone in my life thought I was crazy.
Prior to launch, I would have given us maybe a 10% chance of even breaking even.
So you can see here, and I'll put those up here for you so you can see for yourself. There you go. And I will stop that share and get back to the charts, right? So, all right. And we've got about, looks like 2 minutes now until the open. I'm not a fan of either side of the markets here right now. I will turn the cues on for us so that we can kind of see what we're at. There you go. And I will pull up a 10-second chart for us. There we go. I'm not, yeah, I honestly, I'm probably just going to start buying SQQQ here, I think. Yeah, I'm going to go short this market. I'm not a big fan of this market right now. I like the turn. I like the stuff, but I'm just not, I'm not seeing it here. I liked what I saw before. I'm just not liking what I see now. All right. So I think the turn was fast and hard. I just don't, if it's quiet day, then we'll what we call climbing that wall of worry, or and I don't like climbing walls of worry. That's not a good place to be. So any bad news that pops out could be gold again near that 2-week high there. Yeah. And of course, the weak retail sales is really polished off the Dixie again. The dollar 96.69. So the Dixie here really struggling as well. There you go. Once again, the Sell America thing is really picking up here. I know some people are saying it's not a thing, but it looks like it is, and China is saying that in the bond market too as well. So this to me, I'm scared of this, of the dollar here right now. I'm not a big fan of this dollar right now. This thing could really fall out of bed. Now I know that there's some buying coming in here, but we've missed those buying opportunities a few times, where it just broke right back through. And I know Steve Flanagan crushed it to the upside, and I like that. But and I'm going to pull up a daily chart. We got about 10 seconds here. I'm going to pull up the cues here. Let's get to it. 10-second chart. First move is to the downside. That's quite what I thought. Okay, we'll see it. A lot of fight here on the 615 handle here. Nothing really showing here though. Tesla pushing a little bit here on the upside. Netflix, yep, I did like Netflix. That's what we talked about. I think the movies are good here. Bitcoin trying to push up here, 69.4 again. There goes Tesla. Snow on the downside here, as we talked about. App loving. Had a nice run back up the last few days. Snow now at 4.5%. MongoDB, one of my faves. We all know that one. One of my faves. There's your dailies. I do like MongoDB. I know what they do, and I know how much we spend money on. So if you like AI, MongoDB is the place. The Ultra TQQQ is not really moving much here. Qs are pretty much steady here. Yeah, but still to the downside. Really just not seeing anything this morning. Tesla only up 1 point. Tesla pushing a little bit here still. And I am going to short Tesla up here at the top here. Let's see where I get in. You can see the sellers are up there putting their numbers in. Qs are pushing a little bit, but not holding too much here. I am short Tesla here. I'll get the numbers for you in a second. You can see where the buyers and sellers are sitting here, but I just think the selling is a little too strong here right now. Yeah. So let's push the upside a little bit. And Dow has now hit another record high here, folks. 50,270, 283 now. Qs are falling here. Yesterday was NASDAQ's day. The day is Dow day, it looks like. Qs are still dropping here. It's kind of what I thought. NASDAQ down 40 points here. NASDAQ down now 46 points here. Qs now the lows today. And continue to drop here. So looks like we're seeing a little bit of buying in the Qs here. Hey, Zora, how are you? Well, I'm short here on Tesla because I think that the market's weak as heck right now. And yeah, we are seeing a little bit of weakness, but it's not, the market's quiet. It's waiting on numbers. We all know that. It's waiting on what the Fed's going to do. It's waiting on a lot of things, whether or not Iran. So I don't really see much in this market right here. Yeah, I'm not seeing much at all. Could be one of those sell-off days here. It comes in the afternoons here. Robinhood here also getting banged up again after running a little bit this morning. They really got hurt over the last few days. Look at that. Qs are dropping again. And the lows of the day. Here's your daily on the Qs. You can see where I think it's kind of turning a little bit here. Not much. It needs a breather. There you go. It is trying to hold down there, but I don't think it can. Yeah, it's not going to be able to hold there. Yeah. Another drop in the Qs here now on the lows of the day. Like once again. I think this is profit taking to me, to be honest with you. There you go. One little more drop on Tesla. We could take a nice little run here. Bitcoin at 68,000. It just broke below 68,000. I took took some profit off at 71 the other day. This is about to drop here. Looks like. Oof. Tesla's not looking healthy here. There she goes. Goodbye, Tesla. Keeping our eyes. I mean, you can see that there's just not much fight here. The fight to me doesn't even seem to be that strong on either side, to be honest with you. But we've had a nice little short here, so we'll keep my eye. Qs are trying to push back up a little bit, but this weak as heck. All right, a little bit of a pop there now. Bitcoin trying to struggle at 68, hasn't a handle there. You're not missing much, though. It's kind of a quiet morning, kind of a very quiet morning here. It is weak, though. I will say that much. This market is very weak and quiet. Tick is down 22. So, I mean, when I say very quiet, I mean very, very quiet. Man, this is a very quiet market here. Qs just cannot hold here, it looks like. They are struggling here. Tesla's pushing a little bit to the upside here. Yeah, this is definitely one of those days where, yeah, too weak to me. It just doesn't seem, there's nothing to push it up. There's no conviction here. I think it's all to the downside here. but not even that strong. It's not even a trading day, to be honest with you. Qs are slipping again. And Tesla now could be the drop we're looking for here. It's starting to flag now, so there's quietness is really hit here, but nervousness in the markets are definitely. Dow's up 220 and Nasdaq down 80. That tells you everything, because yesterday was Nasdaq up, Dow was just flat, right? So it's one of those days. Qs are trying here. Tesla's trying to push now to the upside a bit. There's your numbers. Doesn't break there. We're going to go right back down. Yeah, there's your 10-second chart. That tells you everything. If we're doing a 10-second chart, it tells you that. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Right back down. Qs are about to hit the lows of the day. Bitcoin into below 68,000 once again. The weakness is hitting there again. But Ethereum is really getting weak, down 5% here. All right, let's see if we get what we're looking for here. We're now seeing that in the 10-second chart, linear regression is now pushing up, which I'm not a big fan. I mean, I like linear regression because it helps give you a good bird's eye view of what's going on, and retail love it. But what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for where the volume is, and we're outside the 1 minute now. So I think for me, I think we need to get back down into here somewhere, 420, 50 area, which I think if the Qs cannot do anything here, they may just may fall a little bit further. Nasdaq down 90 points here now. So let's see let's see if we get it. They couldn't push it to the upside. So now they push the up. It's the path of least resistance. Netflix now up 2.5% here. There we go. Qs now in the lows of the day. And there's what I'm looking for. We just broke those lows now on the Tesla last 6 bars there was just broke again, and should do it again. Especially the let's see if we get it. Yeah, it tested, couldn't do it all the way, but it's just too weak, both sides of this. I just don't. Qs are trying to push back off that low there, but I'm not. Man, that is weak, but not enough volume to tell me that, though. Qs are trying to push back up now a little bit. Tesla slipping here. Boom. Ooh. I did have an order. I do have an order in here down here. Did not lift me though. Qs are trying down here, but nothing there. This is a very low volume day. Very boring. Very boring. Very boring. Bitcoin back to 68,000. It is trying to hold here at 68. $96.71 here. Still weak dollar, but trying to push back up a little bit. If those Qs can't push here to the upside, and we're going to see another drop here. Tick was up about 300. Now it's flat again. Yep. It was weak. That's what I thought. Weak. Look at that. And now tick flat. Could see another drop here. Another big drop. Yeah. Gets below that right in here. You're starting to see some of the numbers popping a little bit, but nothing is showing. 68.3 now on Bitcoin. It's right in those numbers. Oof. Okay, Qs are trying to push the upside again here a little bit, just a little bit. Tick is up only 123, so be careful out there. And the positive, yeah, we're not seeing anything. Yeah, there it is, then negative tick again. So be careful. There's spoofing going on here a little bit. If you don't know what spoofing is, that's where they put fake orders in. Qs are trying to push a little higher here. Tesla's still struggling, but let's see if I get there. You go. Tick now down 200 here. Look at that. Look how weak this is, and look how there's nothing here, right? So massive fight there. So it's going to break one way or the other here. Tick up 148 here. Q still trying to push a little bit to the upside. NASDAQ only down 20 points now. Dow 300. Mm. This is a boring day. Whew. Bitcoin 68.5. Tick that 200. Got a little greedy there, looks like, on my Tesla. Q's near the highs of the day here on that pop. Can it hold those? Question mark. We're waiting on a lot of reports. I think numbers on inflation, numbers on unemployment. We're looking at wait. There's just so much going on at the end of the week, and I just think that's. But to me, I don't think it's any of that strongly. I also think it's also Iran, whether or not Iran erupts, and I'm really getting very nervous about Iran. Back channels are seriously chatter's pretty high. Taking now 500. Again, you can see where the sellers are piling up, and they piled up into there. So yeah. All right, got about one more minute now at the top of the hour here, and we'll let you guys go. Again, very, very quiet morning here, but I appreciate everybody here at Quasar Markets. I appreciate you sticking with me, even on these quiet moments, because you know what? These are the moments where you start making those decisions of where you want to be in the future. We've nailed those, as you know, Japan. We've crushed that market. We crushed the silver market here. We've had a pretty good run these last month and a half here. So pretty exciting here if you're with us the whole time. So I love that. We don't just look at charts. Obviously, we talk about the markets and about what we're actually doing and what we're actually seeing. Treasury Secretary Bissett now says U.S. and China relationships in a very comfortable place. Really, with them dumping our bonds, that's a comfortable place. I'm sorry, I think you're making a mistake there. So, all right, there you go. There's the news. Okay, for those of us here at Quasar Markets, thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate this, and hopefully we will. We got a lot of cool things today to bring to you, so hopefully we'll get that to you. But all right, we'll see you later.